What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Two Worlds podcast. I'm Jake, and with me, as always, is the Maria to my Richter. It's Preston. What's up, buddy?
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? What's up, Jake? How's it
Glad to
going?
have you with us.
Yeah.
Casey, unfortunately, still out this week.
Yes.
Hoping
Thoughts go
that
out to him.
yeah, hope we hear some good news soon. Um, but Preston offered to stand in, which is great because I should have asked you the week before, and
You're
with
good.
everything going on, it just didn't occur to me.
That
So
second solo episode happened. I'm like, man, if you need somebody, like I'm here. I got Mondays off. I'm more than willing to just jump in and talk comics with you for a little bit.
yeah.
It's not a big deal. It's
Yep.
just nice to have another person to talk at rather than the quote unquote audience.
Yes, for sure. Like the first solo one, I felt good about. I was like,
Mhm.
for not having, it was like a spur of the moment thing. I think I
Just need to
did
get
okay,
done.
but that
Yeah.
that second one, I was like, man, this one
Yeah.
wasn't very good.
I've been doing podcasts for over 10 years. And like out of all like three different types of podcasts I've done, every once in a while I had to do one by myself. They're fine. I would rather not. Like streaming on Twitch is one thing, but just recording it in your home by yourself. Just
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit here. We're gonna talk about comics. I hope someone listens to this later on. Bye.
Yep. But that's okay. We're
Yeah,
past that now. But yeah, before we get into the news and stuff, I thought we'd do a little bit trivia here.
let's do it.
And I turned to one of the X-Men pages because I know
Okay,
you're an X boy.
got a little more X in me. Yeah,
So
got that X in
got that X in you.
me.
All right, so first one. And I'll read the question. You tell me if you need the multiple
Yeah,
choices. Who is Fred J. Dukes?
give me the choices.
Cannonball, the Blob, Sink, Tusk.
The Blob.
It is the Blob.
Nice. I knew it wasn't Cannonball, and then I did not think it was gonna be Sync. I don't remember what Sync's real name is. Got cool powers. I mean, you just tap into whoever he meets, kind of thing. And he can get the Phoenix Force. He can get Cyclops'
Oh,
light beams he
nice.
wants. He can only remember
Nice.
like so many, and just taps into them. It's very cool character.
Sounds a bit like Rogue.
Yep, a little bit like Rogue, except he can only do so much with it. I mean, Rogue has her limits too.
Hmm
But yeah, definitely a Rogue like, if you will, Jake.
Yep. I hate how I remember that Fred Dukes is the Blob. It's
Mhm.
from X-Men
Some
Origins
origins. Yep.
Wolverine.
Mhm. Hey, he's a great actor. He did a good job. The
I
body suit
I
was just.
like I like him for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, I Casey has not forgiven me for dragging him to the movie theater to see that back
You
in the
know
day.
what? You guys are comic book guys. He has to see it. All right. He has to know. He has to
He
experience it.
didn't he didn't feel like he needed to see
Yeah.
it, but
Well, he got to
but he
see the
did
start of
anyways.
what is now Deadpool, right? So
Yeah.
it's it's
Yeah.
all necessary.
All right, next question. Who is Fred Duncan?
Oh, I know this one. Last name Duncan. Go ahead, give me the choices.
A. Micromax, B. Agent of Black Air, C. FBI liaison with Professor X, or D. National Public Radio reporter in the X-Men stories.
No, I'm not gonna know any of these. I'm just gonna randomly guess C.
Yes, he's the FBI liaison.
Okay, all right.
Nicely
Shit.
done.
Okay.
Your guessing is already,
I'm doing well. All right.
yeah.
I'll keep it. I knew that one all the time. Yeah.
What did Cable originally call his team of mercenaries?
I want to say X Force, but give me the options.
We've got the Mutant Liberation Front, the Wild Pack, Six Pack, or the Dark Riders.
First one, Mutant Liberation Front.
Incorrect.
I was so
It
confident
was
about it.
it was actually the Wild Pack.
The Wild Pack.
Yep.
Got that dog in
Yeah, exactly right.
them.
Okay, next. Who first took over from Charles Xavier as the headmaster of the New Mutants?
The only comic book I read that someone took over outside of the new ones now would have been X-Men and the Wolverine and the X-Men. So I'm gonna guess Wolverine, but
That is incorrect.
okay, yeah, go ahead.
We've got the White Queen, Cable, Magneto, or Moira McTaggart.
Magneto?
It is Magneto,
Okay.
which I did not
'Cause,
know that. So,
yeah. He took over, well, kind of. Cyclops is taking over, but Magneto, I guess, is just hanging out there as old man at the moment.
right on.
I mean, you're reading it, right? That's how it goes. The new X-Men?
For the new one, yeah. I mean, this
Yes,
one,
okay.
when it was like
That
who
one, yeah, I couldn't tell
first
you.
did
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I don't
No.
have a clue.
I'm kind of going like that. The reason why I chose that one is because of X-Men 97.
Sure. Okay. How many issues did New Mutants run before being replaced by X-Force?
You got to give me the numbers on that one.
50, 75, 100, 150.
I'm gonna guess 75.
It's 100, actually.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yep. Um, I will eat my microphone if you can get this without any choices.
Okay. All right.
Which Latin American country did Magneto's Brotherhood take over in X-Men number 4 from 1964?
1964.
Hmm.
Tequila.
Nope.
Okay. Go with the
Uh,
choices.
San Diablo, Santo Marco, San Gusto, or Santo Rico?
What was the second one again?
Santo Marco.
Santo Marco.
Indeed.
Okay.
Which X-Man is Nightcrawler's foster sister?
Mystique. No, that's
No,
not. That's mother.
that's
That's mother.
mom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's mommy. Always mommy. Um, go ahead and give me the choices. I think I know who it is, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the choices first.
We've got Rogue and Day Tripper, Nocturne, Day Tripper.
I'm gonna assume Rogue.
It is Rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then finally, what is Kitty Pryde's hometown in Illinois?
I should know this because they said it in Exceptional X-Men. Fuck. Uh, Joliet.
Nah, nope.
No.
We've got Chicago, Deerfield, Elgin, Springfield.
I'm gonna say Springfield.
It's Deerfield.
Deerfield. Okay.
Yeah.
I was
You,
still
you
my talking
started out
points.
strong.
I know, and I'm
It
sitting here
got
over
it
like
got
I love
tougher.
Kitty Pryde. I know everything about Kitty Pryde.
Yeah. That's all right.
It's fine.
They're not easy questions.
No, they're not.
All right. We'll get into the news here. Um, First one. Well, we'll loop this in with talking about Daredevil.
Sure.
So if you don't want to know this, look at the timestamps and skip ahead. But apparently, in season 2 of Born Again, we will see the return of the Defenders.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm down with that.
Personally, very excited because I get Defenders wasn't an amazing show. I still enjoyed it.
I
And I
think the
still
cast
liked
is
all
great.
of those people.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think the cast they chose for that, Luke Cage is amazing. Jessica Jones, I think, perfect for that. And I did enjoy the Iron Fist show. I didn't think it was all that bad.
Look, you're talking to the only guy that out loud in a comic book
Yeah.
store claimed to enjoy Iron Fist,
Okay, fair enough. All
especially
right.
season 2. I thought season 2 was so much better than
Yeah.
season 1.
I
What's
like
up, Cat?
pretty much all those. And I was say I saw a tail coming in from the back. Like, there's
Yeah,
a shark tail. Dun,
he'll
dun,
probably
dun,
jump
dun.
up here in a
That's
second.
okay.
But yeah. So I'm excited for that. Uh, clearly they're trying to bring everybody back. He's just
Hey.
really gonna steal my thunder here.
Yeah. You got the usual Alex camera from testing room where the cat tail just pops up.
Right?
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, we'll look forward to that. But I know that we've both been, he's doing this on purpose now. we've both been watching season 1 of Born Again because they
Yes.
dropped the first 2 episodes
Hmm.
this first week. So we'll try to not be super spoilery, but
Yeah, no.
how are you liking it so far?
Like a lot. Set a good tone with it. When they let us know it'd be rated R, I'm like, okay, that's it's a good start, rated mature. That's kind of what it needs to be if you want to keep the same tone as a Netflix series. So that way, you know, they're not going to be Disney and hold some things back just to kind of make it more family friendly, which I love. They needed to do that to make it work.
Yep.
It's great seeing everyone back, especially Vincent D'Onofrio. I think he is. I mean, we'll talk about Charlie Cox in a second, but I think Vincent D'Onofrio is the kingpin. Like he is like the most perfect guy you could have gotten for that job, and I think he does a bang up job for it. Charlie
Yep.
Cox. Every once in a while, I hear that name, and it replaces Matt Murdock's name for me. Like that guy is also, again, he is Matt Murdock. You know, Charlie Cox is that guy. It's going to be hard to kind of replace those people, but I
Yep.
think they're doing a great job with it. The only like thing I can like say against the show is again with this Disney like their VFX, their CG kind of thing. Every once in a while, if Daredevil comes swinging in to get on top of a building, I'm like that just looks a little off. But I'm like I'll let it go because you know it's a blind guy just swinging through the fucking streets with no superpowers. It's like it's gonna look a little weird because it's not something you see every day. So it's fine. It's not like it's too abundant and you know slaps you in the face every time. It's just something I can
Yeah.
nitpick at. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. They're going through the lawyer stuff with it. They're doing a great job with that first fight scene you get at the very beginning. That first episode, hour long, really sets it off and gives it a great tone for the rest of the show.
Yeah. I don't think anything will ever top season 1's hallway scene.
Nope,
I mean,
that's going to be
people
talked about
still
for
talk about that.
people who don't care about comic book movies and shows, like people who just talk about like stunts or like you know choreography and stuff like that. That one shot
Hmm.
is historical.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, very good so far. Looking forward to more of that. Um, there's another character that showed up in 1 and 2 that I didn't know was going to be in the show. To be fair, I don't really look too much into what like who's going to be in what before I watch it.
Did you
Like
watch the
I
trailers a lot, or have you seen most of the trailers that came out for it
No, like
in passing? Okay,
the first one, and like that's pretty much it. So
are you talking about who possible other vigilantes in New York? The one that
yeah.
they mentioned? Yep.
Hmm.
So yeah, he was in the trailer. So
Okay. Well, I was just mostly
yeah, avoiding it.
glazing
Yeah.
over so that I could enjoy
But for
it.
people like you who haven't been, you know, keeping an eagle eye on the trailers, we can kind of
Hmm.
keep it away from it. But yeah, it's I'm curious to see what they do with that character too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a character I don't really know shit about.
Mm-mm.
I know a version of that character was in one of the cartoons. Um,
Wasn't that character? Did they ever have like a female version of that character?
mhm.
Because cause that's the first one I know from Marvel Snap.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so I know it from like the handful of episodes of that show that
Yeah,
I watched,
fair enough.
but it's pretty cool, and
Hmm.
hopefully we get some more of that going forward. So,
Definitely.
um, okay. I saw a little article that was talking about, let me see here. It was Manchester University did a study on um, comics and how comics are linked to student literacy and engagement in schools. And I thought that was pretty cool. Turns
Yeah.
out if schools promote or let kids read comics, then they're smarter than the kids that don't read. Now, I
Yeah.
know that sounds extremely obvious, but I've had so many parents, grandparents, relatives over the years come into the shop and buy comics because they say it's the only thing that their kid will read. And to that, I say, who cares, right?
Yeah.
If that's what it takes to get them to read, then buy them comic books. Uh, I think that will let them branch out eventually. But if
Hmm.
that's all they want to read for a while, I mean, don't be upset with that over them not reading at
No,
all.
like me in high school, middle school, like I wanted to play video games. I want to go outside, do whatever. I didn't read a whole lot, but I got into the new Jedi Order of Star Wars, which is a lot of books.
Hmm.
And that was the one thing mom's like, I'll buy you the next book. Just let me know when you're done. I'll buy you the next book just so you read something, like just
Yeah.
so you're reading, like just. if that's the one thing that gets you into reading, do it. And then
Yeah.
that got me into that. It got me into reading Fellowship of the Ring when when the movie came out. Like it
Hmm.
will, whatever gets you in. It doesn't matter what it is. Well, I guess to a point, it doesn't matter what it is. Like my son likes Playboys. I want to get him a bunch of those so that way he keeps reading. And like I don't think he's reading much there.
Yeah. Nope, I totally agree. Uh there are so many like parents or teachers that are just so adamant against comic books. And
And you think the art in there would make them like maybe a little bit more for it as far as like here's the experienced art as well. But no, it's just they
well,
see
I
it as a
think
kid's thing, as a child's
that's
toy.
exactly right. I think they look at it, they think about what comics were when they were kids, and they don't
Kids buy them.
realize
Mhm.
what the medium has become. Um, and also, I firmly believe no matter who the person is, there is a comic book out there for
Oh
everybody.
yeah.
You just gotta find what it is. But
And if you don't know what it is, go to comic headquarters, ask for Jake because he gives the best
you
recommendations.
see, you heard it here first, folks. Yeah, I did a paper in college on why comics should be considered literature because they weren't at that
Hmm.
time. And my professor didn't want me to do it because he was against comics, but he ended up caving and letting me write it, and still disagreed with me by the end of it. But I was just like, man, why aren't they considered literature? It's not just
Yeah.
Batman going, you should stay in school and brush your teeth. No, real shit happens.
Hmm. Yeah. It's
So,
like people who think the same thing about video games. I'm like, let me show you some of the last. Let me show you the opening scene of Last of Us, the
mhm.
first one, and that's what I did. Like my English paper was like, our video games art. Our video games are more than just a kid's toy. And like, I'm gonna show you guys all this opening scene from The Last of Us. And people are like, I didn't even think that was a video game. Like, it seemed like a TV show you would watch something like that. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
like all these things that people think are for children, like we all grow up with it. I mean, we want our own version of it. We don't want to read the same small, kiddie stuff. I mean, we still want to play some Pokemon. We still want to read some Sonic comics like someone over
hmm
here. But
hmm
we like our adult stuff with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you need a Sonic the Hedgehog to break up the heavy
Yeah.
shit you read in something else
Yeah.
from Image or whatever.
1000%.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I just thought it was cool that an official study came out. So
Yeah.
and the study also said that now over 90% of teachers advocate for comics as an
Sure.
educational tool. So
Good. Yeah.
I'm glad to see that that people are kind of flip-flopping on that. But
Mm-hmm.
um, anyway, so oh, and also, uh, what was the thing? Uh, comic strip, comic strips boosts World War II recall by 70% of students, which I thought was uh, a weird and
All right.
interesting stat.
Yeah.
So
Nice fact.
anyway, all right, and then last bit of new. Oh no, I got two things here. Okay,
Oh.
first one. So I think last week I mentioned that we were getting an Emma Frost comic,
Mm-hmm.
but now I've got some creative um, team announcements
Okay.
to go with that. So it's called Emma Frost, the White Queen. Obviously just going to be a 5-issue deal, but it will be written by Amy Chu, and the art will be by Andrea DeVito. And man, the cover artists are insane. Like
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
David Nakayama's doing the A covers, which already it's like, okay, sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
But then the variants, we've got Greg Land, Joel Jones, Joshua Swaby, Mike Henderson, and Ricky Yagawa. So those are all names that I know just because
Yeah, I
I
know
look at
Swaby.
those names all the
Yeah.
times. But yeah, Joel Jones and Swaby, it's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
those are gonna kick ass. So
100%. And then the next 4 issues are going to have variations, and I'm sure Art Germ's going to drop in there somewhere. I'm sure Peach Momoko is going to drop in there somewhere. So it's
yeah,
everyone wants to
absolutely.
do the hot diamond mommy.
Yeah. So um being the ex-boy then, is that one that
Mhm.
you're interested in at all? Or are you like, not really an Emma
No,
Frost?
I'm not really meant for us. I mean, it's nice when she's around. She's very pretty. But it's I I'm only reading Exceptional X-Men because of Kitty Pryde.
Mhm.
So if Emma leaves there, I'll probably still stick with the Exceptional X-Men. I'm not even sure if they're going to continue doing Exceptional X-Men if Emma's going to leave, because I know she's kind of like the financial person for that whole team. So we'll see what happens with Exceptional with that. She doesn't show up too much. She's kind of always there to kind of be the person that kind of brings them back down to earth. Being like, oh, it's a bunch of kids. We're all having fun doing training. Blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, the world
Mhm.
sucks. People are out there to kill you, and let's be real about this. So it's
Yeah.
nice to have her there, kind of balance everything out.
I actually saw that several of the current X titles are ending pretty soon. So I'm
Oh,
curious.
which ones stick?
Like I know X Factor's done,
Sure.
which is a shame because that one was pretty good. It's just I hate it when a series ends during an event. So like the last issue is going to be its issue of this stupid X
Whatever the X
Manhunt
thing.
crossover.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I guess. I feel like that one didn't really get to take off like it should have.
No, but hopefully they'll keep going with at least Uncanny
Yeah, Uncanny and X-Men are like I think
for sure. They're not
X-Force might
stopping
be
X Men yet.
done.
Yeah,
So
I can
X
see
Factor and
them.
X-Force.
I can see them stopping Exceptional X Men too. It hasn't been the greatest. I mean, it's fine. It's good. I mean, I get more Catherine Pryde's story, but other than that, I can see them easily just moving those guys over either to Uncanny or to X Men, as far as maybe one of those five teams kind of merges with them as well. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
And we say it all the time. There's no reason that the X-Men, no matter which team it is, shouldn't be revolving because there's so many of them.
Yeah, well, that's usually what Hellfire is all about, right? The Hellfire Gala is that you have a new X team every year. You have the Hellfire Gala to announce it, but we'll see what they do with Hellfire this year. I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be more underground. It's not going to
Hmm.
be as like a big spectacle where the Avengers and everyone else is showing up to hang out, but
Right.
we'll see. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see what they do with Hellfire this year.
Okay, and then the actual last bit of news. We've got some more DC Absolute titles coming out. Um, Scott Snyder was on a podcast this last week and was talking about it since he's sort of the head of all that Absolute stuff. And we've got one book coming out by Shea Grayson. That's going to be a Batman related one. He didn't say if it was going to be Batman or
One of
someone
the
else in that
family, yeah,
universe. But I wasn't familiar with Shea Grayson, but they are a filmmaker and a writer on Dark Spaces, Bitch Planet, and
bitch.
Batman Urban Legends. So it's like definitely stuff I've heard of,
Sure,
but
haven't heard any
not
of it.
necessarily read. So, and then the other one, and he didn't say what they were going to be writing, but is Pornsick Pisha Shode. They wrote The Good Asian, which Casey was
Okay,
a big fan
I've
of.
heard, yeah.
Um, so yeah, that should be pretty cool.
Okay.
Hopefully it's something crime related because I feel like they are a really good crime writer.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into a lot of those DC Absolute stuff. I think yeah, it's kind of just been sticking with Birds of Prey. I got Batgirl in there as well, but
Hmm.
not like going hard on the DC stuff recently.
Yeah. I mean, the only one that I stuck with was Wonder Woman,
Gotcha.
but
That's a cool idea. It's a very cool idea.
yeah, it's great. She looks awesome.
Yep.
I know pretty soon Flash is the next one that's out this month. And actually, uh, Martian Manhunter, I think, is also this month. But yeah, it's cool that they're expanding a little bit, not just doing the Trinity. So we'll see how that works out for them.
Well, if they do Constantine, you let me know.
Will do. Uh, okay. That is it for the news. So
Mhm.
now we can talk about the books that we read this week. I went through and read Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu number 6, Birds of Prey 19. This one might surprise you, Preston, but I read Jedi Knights number 1.
I'm excited for that one.
We got Ghost Spider 11, Thundercats 13, Batman Full Moon 4, Batgirl number 5, and Doctor Strange of Asgard number 1.
Ooh.
So,
Okay. What I did is, since I didn't get my comics for the week, I just kind of grabbed a couple of them that I just kind of wanted to talk about as far as, me following through with them and maybe something you want to avoid. I got, I'm just gonna, as far as Birds of Prey, I'll just, we'll talk about when you get to your 19. I did read 18 recently. Got Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men, Batgirl, Psylocke, Space Ghost, and we got 2 Star Wars, The Battle of Jakku. The whole series of that is kind of what I mentioned. And then I got issue 1 of Legacy of Vader.
okay, cool. I am interested in how that turned out because
Yeah.
I just really like that Derek Chew cover, if I'm honest.
You can get that cover and put it on your wall. Don't bother reading it.
All right, so I'll just rapid fire a couple of them. Batgirl, I thought was good. I actually like this better than the last issue or two
Mhm.
because we finally got past some of the mommy issues and
Yeah.
um she's hit with like kind of like this psychedelic drug from like a flower.
Mhm.
So she starts to have like a dream, and in the dream, Stephanie shows up and she's just
Oh,
like,
cool.
"Hey, you're going through a lot. You want to talk about it?" And
Oh,
so she does. She talks to Dream Stephanie and kind of works out some of her issues, which was nice to see. And the art's really fucking good in it too. So it was nice to see uh, Stephanie
yeah. I've
again.
been I've been liking the art a lot on that one. The only thing I can say as far as the writing with like the past couple issues, um, I just past couple issues haven't felt really like Cassie. I mean, I know she's going through some shit, and it's always the mom is trying to get her to help stop this like horrible evil thing happening, but she has to help bad people out, and she's always like saying no, I can't do it, but somehow it still gets dragged forward with it every single issue. It's like, come on, you guys. Like, if Cassie didn't want to be a part of it, she wouldn't be a part of it. But I think she would understand like the full on, like, I need to do this because it will be overall very helpful and good, no
Hmm.
matter who I'm working with. And I just feel like her battling against that is just not as much as what I thought who Cassie is. But maybe this will kind of help explain it. Maybe she's going through some shit and she needs to talk to Steph about it, a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but I did want to show off this one cover I got for it, which is really fucking good.
Oh
I can't
yeah.
remember who it is, but this is one of my favorite covers for
Sozo
sure.
Micah. That's who
Was it
did it.
Micah? Yeah,
Yep.
I love that cover.
Yep. Very
The
good.
design.
All of the variants have been pretty solid, and the
Mm-hmm.
A covers as well.
Yeah, I've been liking some of the covers.
So, but yeah, that one probably a good like 7.5. I feel like it's been a good step up from the other
Good.
issues. I'll do another one and then let you go. Thundercats 13. It's by Declan Shalvey and Drew Moss. This one was cool because it was an issue that was just about Snarf, which is pretty cool. So
Nice.
it was like almost a silent issue, except for like the little noises, the Snarf
Mm-hmm.
noises that Snarf
Mm-hmm.
makes.
Snarf.
So until the very end when he meets up with another character. So, uh, but it was cool. It was a good little filler issue, and it makes me excited for the next issue. So, I'm
Okay.
gonna give that an 8 out of 10, I think.
Nice. I will go with Legacy of Vader #1. Got a real nice design cover for it. It's kind of hard to see because the lines are there with the camera, but the lines are also there with the cover. Um, I was, I mean, it's Kylo Ren, right? So you're kind of going into it being emo, angsty boy, hating his parents and everyone in his family except for Daddy, wanting to kind of follow in the legacy of his father. But this starts off like right before the rise of Skywalker. So it's him like right after Snoke's death. He's blaming it on Rey, saying he's the new supreme leader. But like the first half of this is just really bad. Like you thought like the writing for him was bad in the movies as far as him being angsty and very upset. It's a little bit worse in the first half of this. The second half goes into it. It's a little bit nicer because he actually goes like to Mustafar because he wants to destroy everything, his dad's legacy. Because he's like, this is bullshit. It's holding me back. I can't be my father or my grandfather. And him going to Mustafar, I thought was very cool. Some of the characters you meet in there are very, very cool. So I'm going to stick with it to get issue 2. But if issue 2 doesn't do anything more for me, I'm just going to go ahead and drop it. Because just Kylo and how he's writing Kylo is not has not been great. And that was, I think it's Charles Soule. Let me look it up for you real quick. Yeah, Charles Soule. And then the artist is Luke Ross. Luke Ross is doing a pretty good job in here, I think. But yeah, for some reason, I don't know if it's just because Kylo is just a bad character in general, or if Charles Soule is just doing it to the extreme for his angstiness.
Yeah. Well, the last Charles Soule Star Wars thing I read was that Crimson Empire stuff, and I was like, boy,
Crimson Reign,
this
yeah.
sucks. So
I didn't hate it as much, but I could see, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
There's a lot of Afra in there, so I kind of like it, and I really like the character Kira from Crimson Dawn and that whole
Sure.
like faction. I like all that kind of stuff, so I like to see them back in there and do more with Kira. She's a fucking cool character.
I just didn't like that every issue was the same event told from a different character's perspective.
Yep,
It's like,
yeah, that's
dude,
fair. Yeah.
I'm reading the same thing.
Yeah, I see it.
So
She's back in the background. That person's back in the background. I get it.
anyway. Okay. Batman Full Moon #4 by Rodney Barnes and Stepan Subic. It's the final issue of that Full Moon miniseries. It was cool. It made me a little sad that this was just a 4-issue deal, but the art is just so fucking cool. It's just like some 90s Vertigo type art.
Nice.
Um, it's got your boy Constantine in it,
Mm-hmm.
Zatanna's in it. Um, this is outside of continuity, so as I've said before, Bruce and Zatanna are together in this, and Constantine doesn't like it. So that's all
Of
that makes
course.
for some
Sure.
funny interactions. But yeah, it was pretty cool. The ending was a little bit predictable. We know that Batman's not going to die and he's not going to stay
No.
a werewolf, but how we got there was still pretty neat, and
Sure.
I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to give
Okay.
it a 9 and give the overall series a 9. And if somebody wants to read about, Batman fighting lycanthropy, then pick up the trade whenever it comes out.
I'm gonna go next with this is Star Wars: The Battle of Jakku. They did essentially 3 arcs in it. I can't remember what the first 2 were called, but the last one is Last Stand. This is all for like leading up to the Battle of Jakku. So like all like the political turmoil and like the back and forth between the remnants of the Empire trying to pull together after the death of the Empire and Darth Vader and the Death Star. Um, this has not been great. So especially with the Last Stand, I'm like, okay, we get to see the Battle of Jakku. Let's go. This has been called the Battle of Jakku the entire time, and now we're getting to Jakku, and it just was very much of a flop for me. I feel. I personally really like the campaign for Battlefront 2, the newer one with the Inferno Squad. I thought they did a great job leading up to Jakku with that. No mention of Inferno Squad at all. So I thought that was a pretty big down. Like, come on, it's canon. We have video game canon. Like, let's just kind of go with it. But you got things of Leia's pregnant, and she's getting assassins coming after her. You got Lando helping out with this ship that I haven't seen since Star Wars Galaxies, which is a yacht that he's going into battle with. I don't know why he's going into battle with a yacht, but okay. Yeah, it's just overall, it was kind of disappointment. I thought it was gonna be really cool go through, but unfortunately, it's not. I say as far as like the Last Stand, like that 3rd arc, I would probably give it out of 10, probably around 5.5 to a 6.
Great.
Overall, I would say probably a 5 or 6. Just very average. It's not going to change anything as far as the Star Wars universe. It just adds a little bit of lore, and that little bit of lore I don't think is that great, anyways. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, as that was coming out,
Segura.
up in the little corner, it was like 1 of 12 or
Yeah.
blank of 12. And I was
Yeah.
like,
12 of 12. I'm
holy
like,
shit, 12.
mm-hmm.
It was just a lot more than I was expecting.
Yeah, I don't even think it's worth it getting the trade at that point. If you really want to know what happens into it, do some wiki diving, find out some of the story points, but it's not worth it, I don't think.
Right. Okay. We've got Spider-Gwen 11 by Stephanie Phillips and Paulo Villanelli. Um, I had read the first arc of this book and then kind of fell off because other stuff was coming out. But then I saw this cover and I was like, well, it's the start of a new arc. I'll jump in. Plus, it just looks awesome and it's got
Oh
Loki on
yeah.
it. So, um,
Space Gwen suit.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, well, let's see what her out in space is like. So, yeah, she lands on a planet. Loki takes her there and is with her the whole time. Turns out in the previous arc, Loki was trying to grab the cosmic cube of her universe. And Gwen was like, well, that can't be good. So she stopped him and ended up absorbing the cosmic cube.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So she has
The power.
cosmic cube power.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so Loki is teaming up with her while she's out in space saving planets and stuff. And it's very clear that he wants to use her for
Yeah.
that power because he wants to reshape a reality in his image, which is very Loki. Um, but it was a fun time. I liked it, and I'm excited for the rest of the arc. So, gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Next up, I have issue 9 of Space Ghost. This is by David Propose and Jonathan Lau on the art. I have been absolutely loving this entire series. Like, I have not been a fan of the original Space Ghost cartoons. Like, that was well before my time. But as you know, Jake is also part of this generation. I grew up with Space Ghost Coast to Coast,
Mm-hmm.
which did he? Yeah, R.I.P. He actually the voice actor for Space Ghost and Coast to Coast passed away this past month. So
Oh, I didn't know
R.I.P.
that.
out to him. Yep, I forget his name. I had it saved on my phone too. I feel bad about that. Things like something low, but yeah, it's this has been great. It follows along like not obviously Coast to Coast canon, but it follows along the original canon. So it 9 is close to like the final finale of an arc, like the main arc they've been going through all this entire series. Um, where he goes and faces Metallo, with the big boss who took down Space Ghost family and planet and family. Um, I have been absolutely enthralled by this entire series. Like I went into it going, man, they got really fucking cool looking covers. Like whoever's doing the covers on these Space Ghost ones are phenomenal. I've been looking at other like side covers and variants, and those are all very cool. Like you got one that looks very old school style. You got one that looks like this ultra realistic style with he's got the bulges face and like chin and everything that looks really cool. Um, but the main covers have just been 10 out of 10s. Um, even like the little kids who are usually annoying in the cartoons and everything like serve a purpose and like are written very well, and why they're toting around with Space Ghost is done very well as too. So I absolutely adore this series. I've been giving it 8 and 9s out of 10s all the way through. I would say this one is definitely a 9, getting close to a 10 out of 10. If you're going to talk about this podcast, like which one is my pick of the week, I would definitely say Space Ghost. If you're seeing any trades out there and you're at all curious, go get it and then do what I do. And in my head, the voices are all the Coast to Coast guys. So when Brack shows up as an evil, menacing guy, he's on talking like this and wants to go up there and go get the children. Zorak shows up at one point. And he's this like super psychopath who just wants to kill people, and it's like using that voice as well. It's been an incredible ride. I love these new Space Ghost issues. But that's a Dynamite comic too.
Yep. I'm glad that you talked about it because a a good amount of people get that one. I just haven't heard anything about it, so it's nice to finally hear something
Yeah.
about it.
If you ever get a trade in, thumb through it. Like it's a super worthy read, I
Yeah.
think.
All right. Next for me is Jedi Knights #1. It's by Mark Guggenheim with art by Matabek Musabekov. I'm sorry for butchering that.
Yeah, you got it.
So yeah, this is just like episode 1 era because Obi-Wan is young and
Still
a
Padawan.
Padawan of
Mhm.
Qui-Gon and stuff, and it's just
Got the braid.
like all the entire Jedi Council is involved with this one event happening on a planet, and it's just showing like what everybody is doing.
Does it say which planet?
Yeah,
Curious if I know this planet.
it is Syrinx, Syrinx,
Nope,
Syrinx Prime.
nothing off the top of my head on that one.
Yeah. Um, but anyway, it's still pretty cool. There's some characters that are either new or like I just hadn't heard of before. So
I think I saw a Yaddle on the cover.
yeah, yeah. The cover is great. It's a nice
Yeah, I was looking at the variants. I'm like, nope, I want the cover A. And like the cover A is great.
yeah, it's got my boy Plo Koon on it,
It
which is
does.
mostly the reason why I picked it up.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, it was definitely pretty neat. I'll be checking out the next one. The only thing I didn't really care for is like this is a mild spoiler, but it doesn't really matter. Obi-Wan is in a little one-on-one training session with Yoda, and he's starting to like have visions of potential future outcomes, and
Mm-hmm.
the
As they
big
do.
cliffhanger that it ends on is like somebody killing Qui-Gon. It's just like a big it's like, okay, well, we know
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. So
Well, we know what happens later,
yes,
but
but it's not by
it's
that
not that one.
character.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
So it's just like, okay. I mean, I get it. You got to end on something, but
Maybe gets mortally injured, but also like it's just one of those things to where it's like we're watching, the prequel trilogy, and like nothing's gonna happen to Obi-Wan. He
mhm.
shows up in New Hope, so it's like
Yep.
any type of like, oh, what's gonna happen? He's gonna fight Grievous. I'm like, well, he's gonna defeat or run away from Grievous one way or another. He's not dying by his hand.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's always tough whenever you do prequel stuff, but
mhm.
it's fine. That's why I think some of these who I'm assuming are new characters are so that they have somebody to kill off during this
Possibly, yeah.
but one thing I am going to show and spoil because I am like I have to
Mhm.
know more about this character. There's a evil
Oh,
whatever Yoda's race
yeah.
is,
I don't
one
think
of
you ever
those
said it.
guys here, looking very Sith Lordy with some lightning. So
Okay,
I think that would be pretty awesome.
it
So,
would. Now, to be fair, you don't have to be a Sith to use lightning, but
but that makes it
but
look
that's
like,
usually the iconic yes way of telling you
yeah,
that he's evil. Yes, I'll
yeah.
give that to you. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go probably like a 7. Like it didn't knock my
Okay.
socks off, but I'm in it for at least another issue.
Star Wars comics can be very hit and miss.
Hmm.
So if you're getting at least a 7 out of it, then I'm excited.
Nice.
All right. Well, we'll go with I have Ultimate X-Men number 11. I've been also getting the variants, Peach Momoko variants of her Peach Momoko comic book.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've been really liking the Ultimate X-Men. I'm a big Peach Momoko stand. I think her getting this many issues and still being able to go forward is doing a lot for her writing. When it came to Demon Wars, when it came to Civil War, it it seemed that she only got like what maybe 12 issues out of some of those, and it just seemed like it fell a bit short. Like I wanted more of those worlds. This one she's getting full breath and continue to do so because it's the Ultimate line, right? So as long as they continue to do Ultimate line, that's the X-Men version. They're going to go with that. And you're finally starting to see little bits and pieces of the Ultimates other stories. Like someone will be watching, a TV, and the news story will pop up about actual Storm. So the girl who has the like Storm-like powers in this X-Men, she calls it, oh yeah, my name is May Storm. So that's how she gets her name. But yeah, the way they do like armor and the Shadow King is like a little kid who's all having problems. It's done very well. If you're interested in Peach Momoko at all, if you're interested in a very different take when it comes to like mutants, because it's not really X-Men yet, as far as like a group. Like they have a group of kids there, Psylocke showing up. They got Niku Minoru. There is a female version of Cyclops in there. She's a patch, so it's just like one eye kind of a thing, which is really cool. But yeah, it's a good like alternate world. It's the ultimate version of mutants, because I wouldn't. It's weird calling it X-Men until they become X-Men, and there's like even a cult called the Children of the Atom.
Of
So
course.
I'm curious to see where all this goes as far as them becoming X-Men potentially down the line. So I'm very very excited about it. I've been giving the Ultimate X-Men's anywhere from a 6 to an 8. So I would say it's kind of bounces back and forth. This last couple of few issues, though, I would definitely give in closer to the 8 range as far as the scale.
Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad
Yeah.
that you like it.
Mhm.
I read the first one and I'm like, man, this is cool because I liked her Demon Days stuff.
Yes.
I just read a lot, so I kind of have to
And
pick and choose
mhm.
sometimes.
No, I feel you. I'm right there with you.
So,
Yeah, it takes a while to get through. So if you get in the trade, the trade is probably the better way to do it if you haven't gotten into it yet,
mm,
because it is fairly slow at first. So you're getting into it like, okay, they introduce this character, they kind of introduce this character, and it's like, I want to get into the meat and potatoes. I want some mutant stuff going on here, and it's just it took a hot minute, but
sure.
I got Peach Momoko's art there to look at while I'm kind of going through this, so it's just
Yeah.
that'll get me through even if the story's not.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Birds of Prey, number 19. It's by Juan Cabal and Kelly Thompson. Um, this is a connecting cover with
I
issue
know. I
18,
brought
but
18 with me.
it's
I fucking
so
love this
good.
cover, man. I gotta
Yeah.
put this up, both of them together on my wall
Yeah.
because it's just who did the art again for this one?
Dan Panosian.
Dan Panosian. I gotta put him on
Yeah.
my list of like artists to kind of eyeball because, goddamn,
Yeah,
like he does faces really well.
he does. And he's done uh a couple of the 1 in 25 Nightwing variants, which I
Oh
get for
yeah,
myself, and
sure.
man, they're just killer.
Yeah, great job.
So, but yeah, this book's all right. It's the second part of, Black Canary and Sin on their
Mm-hmm.
little, ambush trip. And, then Cassie and Barda off with Constantine. So, like, it's
I'm happy about
totally
that.
fun. Yeah, no,
I
yeah, for
love that.
sure.
I love that.
I do too. I love their friendship. That's
Mm-hmm.
because boy, you would not have seen those two characters in the same comic before this.
Uh, was Cassie? I read Spirit Worlds, but Cassie came into Spirit Worlds, didn't she?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah. So and that was Cassie, Constantine, and the main character from Spirit Worlds that I can't remember
I
their
couldn't tell you
name.
their name.
So,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's yeah,
and
good, good,
that
good
they
to see
actually
the team back.
they mentioned Spirit World in this one, so you have that
I
to look
thought they were
forward
going to
to.
go to Spirit World at some
Yeah,
point. So
yeah. So that was pretty neat. Um, I like it. It just feels like it's a two-issue filler a little bit,
gotcha. Okay, yeah. Before the
But
next arc.
yeah, but I'm still really liking this book. So to say it's a filler isn't bad because
Yeah,
filler can be good.
yeah. You don't need to
Um,
have a serious arc every single issue. Like if you want to take a little time to do a small little side story, a little side quest, if you will, in
yeah,
between the arcs, feel free.
like a lingerie fashion show like they did. You remember?
I wasn't complaining,
I
but to be
know.
fair, that was a specific world, wasn't it? Like that wasn't was that one
Yeah,
of those when they were going to different dimensions and somebody
right.
for some reason thought of I guess of lingerie when they went to the dimension. That's what turned into. Again, wasn't complaining.
Yep. So yeah, it's definitely good. Probably like a 7.5 or 8 for me.
Yeah, I'd be
Okay.
giving all those birds of prey like eights and nines. Very
Yeah.
rarely do I go down to like a 7 or a 6 for some of those issues.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
All right. Lastly, from me, I just wanted to mention Psylocke, big Alyssa Wong stand over here. I've been loving the covers. I've been getting a lot of variants with this one. Um, it's been all
Yes,
right at
man.
first. It's been all right at first. It is getting better. It's getting a lot better. So I enjoy that they're making a point to show and mention the differences of the different Psylocks. Because there's two. You got Betsy Braddock and you got Quinnan. So for me, it's always been I've kind of known the image of Quinnan. I didn't really go into a lot of Betsy Braddock when I guess they split from the body and go into a new body. Betsy Braddock is technically, I think, the first Psylocke. I think Quinnan is the body of that, and so it's nice for them to go towards one of them, but still mentioning the other to kind of keep you like, oh yes, this is the kind of weird back and forth that people don't really know too much about. They just kind of go, oh, it's Psylocke, so they don't think about which one it is. Um,
Well, they don't
and
make it easy either.
no, they don't. But this one does help out a lot with that. There was specifically the issue 4. They do a little bit of mention of that, and it kind of goes, okay, like that kind of helps me separate them a little bit. And then her with is it Gray Crow? Is his name? Yes, Gray Crow, John Gray Crow. Um, some of the shit that happens in issue 4. I'm sorry, I forgot. Do you read Psylocke? I know you
I
started
don't.
reading it. I
Nope,
thought
I didn't actually.
didn't okay. So like she's dating, like they're a thing, and at some point, like I think it was one of his arms was just like nailed to a door as like a message to her and shit. She finds him later on, but there's some really dark shit that happens in it. I really like the way Alyssa Wong was writing Psylocke. It's nice to see now that she's not doing Afra for the moment. See her get another female-led character story going on. Yeah, been
And
liking it. I would
the whole
say
thing is just a revenge story, isn't it?
so far it's kind of getting there to where she's mainly it's because she was asked to leave, take a leave of absence from the X-Men because like she just felt like she was going essentially to the dark side, like going back to her old ways as an assassin. And if she wants to be a part of the X-Men and training kids, she needs to kind of learn how to bring herself back down. So this is kind of like her going on a like sabbatical or something to kind of like recenter herself, help find out who she actually is and what she wants to do with her life, kind of deal, and just dealing with some of the bullshit shenanigans that are kind of going while she's doing this kind of retreat.
Sure.
So it's been good. I've been liking it. I would say the first couple of issues I was leaning on more 6. Now that we're getting some to like more of the meat and potatoes of the arc, I'm giving it more 7s and 8s at this point. But yeah, I love Alyssa Wong. They do great stuff when they're writing. I will follow them to whatever they write, even if they got some Star Wars High Adventure, the High Republic Adventures books, which I'm not a big fan of. I like the main lines. Adventures just seems more, I don't want to say kiddie, but it seems like more like
All
just
ages.
all ages is a great way to put it. I haven't really enjoyed those, but I will read her stories that she puts out there for those anytime she goes to it. So
Mhm.
I'll follow them to the end. So
Cool. All right, I've got two more. I
okay.
saved the best for last. First one
Mhm.
is Fist of Khonshu, number 6. Got a just a dope ass cover here.
That's fucking rad. Yeah. I
Yeah.
really need to get the trades for those when they have pop out.
Oh, they're so good. It's by Jed McKay and guest artist Domenico Carbone. Um, I really liked this. It's kind of so in the last issue, Mark has a boxing match against this guy. It turns out he's an Asgardian, so he just kicks the shit out of Mark, who's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
And so now Mark is like, I don't want to say limbo because he's not dead, but he's just like on the moon, and Khonshu shows up, and it's just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're
Khonshu
smarter than
realm.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, quit being an idiot and going in by yourself. Use the people that are around you.
The power of family and friendship. You can
Yep,
prevail.
exactly. So, anyway, so the team finds him, rescues him. Hunter's Moon uh, doctors him up because he's a doctor. And then Mark and Tigra get to have their little chat because they haven't really had a chat since Mark was like, by the way, your ex-boyfriend Ant-Man is still alive and you thought he was dead. Sorry, I didn't tell you.
My bad.
Um, so all that happens, and then he's like, okay, time to be smart about this. Let's go take down this Asgardian. So looking forward to what happens next. It's been such a good book. Um, we'll definitely be giving this one a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. I have a feeling that I'll probably want to start picking that back up because I really did love the Moon Knight series. Like that main
Mhm.
run he did, I have all those single
Yep.
issues. It was just like you said, I'm reading a lot of comic books, and I got to a point where I'm like, I need to not have as many comic books per week. So that unfortunately was one that I'm like, well, they're starting new stuff. Like I kind of want to drop off that, but
Mhm.
obviously, honestly, like I got the Comic Geeks app. I got subscriptions as far as like it makes sure to put those on my pull list. I could probably drop one or two of those and start that back up, but I just feel like I missed a handful, so I'm just waiting for that trade.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, I'm not going to say it would read better because obviously it reads just fine. I give almost every issue a 9 or a 10. Um, but obviously having the full thing right there is also a big help. So
I feel that's just pretty much for every comic book.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's just, do you want to do it week to week? If like you're that invested, like X-Men, like I want to do that week to week. I
Hmm.
kind of want to get that. But something like the Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu, especially, like it's, I'll pop the trades in when they happen.
Yeah. Before the series started, for me personally, I hadn't loved a Moon Knight series for quite some
Same.
time. So I know a lot of people are big fans of the
The
Jeff
only
Lemire
one that I
stuff, and
had was the Brian Michael Bendis that did Moon Knight, where his personalities are other
ugh,
superheroes.
that was terrible.
That's the only Moon Knight that I've ever read before that one. So,
Great
um,
covers and great artwork,
yes,
but boy, that was
just
bad.
become Captain America and just become Spider-Man because multiple personalities. I'm like, that's not his multiple personalities. It's not how that works for him. But okay,
Yeah, and I just think they focus way too much on that stuff. And Jed
yeah,
McKay has kind of roped it
bringing
back
it
in a
in,
little bit.
yeah, it's
So,
nice.
all right, and then my final book is Doctor Strange of Asgard #1, the A cover. Super cool. He's got a little
Mm-hmm.
Asgardian coat on the Rainbow Bridge. It's by Derek Landy and Carlos Magno. Um, I it was going to be tough to follow up any Doctor Strange by Jed McKay because I loved his
It's
Strange book.
incredible.
It was
Yeah.
so good. But you throw of Asgard on something, and I'm going to read it,
Shut up and give me my money.
right? And I'm glad I did. This was so much fun. Doctor Strange goes to Asgard. He meets with Thor. He's like, "Hey, Thor, Doctor Doom stole the title of Sorcerer Supreme from me. I'm out of a job. Does Asgard need a Sorcerer Supreme? Because there's a lot of magic here." And Thor's like, "Well, you're a friend. I want to help you out, but you need the uh, the blessing of my head Skald." And the Skald is just the person that's in charge of magic.
Yeah, I
So
figured.
Loki goes to see her. Um, her name's Holda, and they have a nice conversation. Everything looks like it's going pretty well. And then Loki shows up, and they're like, "Loki, what are you doing here? You're banned." He's like, "Yeah, but I know how to get around banishment." And
Sure.
then, this is heavy spoilers, Loki, stabs and kills Hulda. And then a portal opens up, and as he's getting sucked into the portal, he screams, "No, wait, I didn't do this. Strange, you gotta believe me." And then he gets sucked into the portal. And it's like,
Okay.
okay, is Loki being Loki? Or was that even him? Or was it somebody just looking like him? We don't know. And then, of course, it ends with Strange holding this body, and somebody is like, "Hey, everything okay in there?"
Like,
So,
nah, fam.
yeah. So we'll see what happens next, but it looks like it's going to be Doctor Strange maybe trying to clear Loki's name if it wasn't really Loki, and then also Strange has to get a job in Asgard and pay rent for
Well,
where he's staying.
a
So,
position has now opened up. So
yeah, exactly.
the head of magic has died, who you were going to see if you wanted to be the Sorcerer Supreme. And now you can
Exactly.
just kind of be the head of magic, I guess, and be the
And
skull or
that's
whatever it was.
if Thor and the other Asgardians believe that Strange didn't kill this
I
lady,
was going to
because
say, I was
that's
about to
how it
ask you, I'm like, did
looks.
they see Loki leave? Because
Right.
it's
No,
going to
they
look
didn't
like
even
he
know he
killed
was
him.
there at all.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but I'm sure Thor will be like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like something
There's no
Loki
way
would do."
Strange would have killed him.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the art is really fucking good.
Who does the art in that one?
Um, Magno, let me
Magno. Okay.
open
I
up to
haven't
a
never heard of
page
him. Yeah.
here. Um, Carlos Magno, but where was that page I liked? It's hard to really see, but like
Okay.
I just think it's like really
Heavy
fucking
shadows.
solid. Yeah,
Yeah. I
heavy
like it.
shadows out in Asgard, a lot of Asgardian architecture and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, which is
Yeah.
super
Done very well.
cool. So had a great time with it. This is one of those books where I'm like, this is either going to be super fun or I'm going to hate it because I'm such a twat with all the
Yeah.
Asgardian
Asgard.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I did like it. I'm really looking forward to #2. So I'm going to give that a
Good.
10 out of 10, and it's my pick of the week.
Happy for you.
Yeah. Um, and then let me pull up
Oh
what's
shit.
coming out this
Yeah, I
week. I
gotta.
forgot to.
That's right. I got the comic geek app.
So for me this week, I'm gonna go with Aquaman, because that's been really, really good. Um, Probably either Batman Dark Patterns or Batman and Robin, because I like both of those a lot. And then DC versus Vampires, which has just been such a good time. So
No. Okay.
those are my
Um,
picks.
I mean, pretty much all the ones that I talked about today are going to have their issues. So you got uh, X-Men comes out. So you got X-Men 13. I actually got two variants I'm asking for on that one. So we'll see if you get both of them. The Age Year,
Ooh, I hope
then
so.
the Peach Momoko one. Peach Momoko one looks awesome. It's like a kimono, but it's the who's the girl with the fire and ice? The My Hero girl?
Oh, Temper.
Temper, yes. She's got a really cool Temper cover for that one. Space Ghost 11, and then you got the Legacy of Vader #2. If I am on next week, I will also be picking up Nick Fury verse. Say it with me. Who's the dragon?
Oh, Fin Fang Foom.
Bing Fang Foom, yes, because I saw that was an issue 1. So I'm like, okay, like let's look through. If I want to be here next week, let's pick up another one. See if
Sure.
there's any #1. So I'll probably do that because that's one of those one shots they're doing where it's just verses kind of deal, right? I heard you
Yeah.
talking about, yeah. So I'll probably pick that one up too if I'm still gonna be
I
around
hope
next
it's
week.
fun. I hope it's as fun as
Yeah.
the Cap and Volstagg one was.
Okay.
All right, and then we'll finish it off with a Fantastic Four. Casey usually comes up with these, but I did one this week, and it's one that we may have done when you were on before, but I thought,
That's
well,
fine.
we're gonna do it anyway. So give me your four favorite video games based on a comic book property.
Based on a comic book property. As far as recent, I would definitely say the Arkham games. They did superhero video games justice finally, and I liked most, if not all. There was the one that wasn't done by Rocksteady. I'm forgetting which one off the top of my head, but the Arkham. Here's the cat. The Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight I thought were all incredible storytelling. Once you started actually getting more to Gotham the City, it was great. Um, the tank mechanics for the Batmobile in that third one, Arkham Knight, weren't the greatest, but it was very cool to be able to get in and out of your Batmobile throughout the city. Like it was very cool doing that. Once your car turned into a tank, it's like, oh, okay, you didn't need to do this, but now we got car battles.
Hmm.
But I really like those. The new Marvel Spider-Man 1 and 2 and Morales. Those have all been fantastic. I think Miles is probably one of my favorites because it's shorter, it gets to the point, and they all look phenomenal. I even really like the second one. The second one was really good. Um, Other comic book games. I'm trying to think. I played a lot of DC Universe Online back in the day. I thought that was a little bit of fun.
There's one that you're not saying that I thought for sure you would have brought up by now.
I mean, my mind is just thrown a blank because I'm being put on the spot. Um,
Ninja Turtles?
Definitely Ninja Turtles. Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Some of those older arcade ones or
Hey,
something?
pick up Shredder's Revenge if you see it on sale or if you like it or anything like that. Just Shredder's Revenge is a great version of like those older types. It's phenomenal. The older ones is probably my favorite. Obviously, Turtles in Time is probably one of my favorites from one of those. So yeah, Turtles games are. I hate like the original like NES one. It was just way too hard. I did not like it. But once you start getting into the arcade versions, I did like those a lot. Same thing with X-Men. I love those X-Men arcade ones. Going through those. Those are a lot of fun. And then yeah, you have Marvel versus Capcom. Those fighting games are insane, but they're a lot of fun to play.
Mhm.
So if you just want to quick battle your friends, pick your favorite superheroes or Capcom characters, it's a great romp.
Very nice. I will start off then with Marvel versus Capcom, which was on my
Mm-hmm.
list. I am absolute dog shit
Oh,
at fighting
same.
games.
Well,
Like I know you and Christian play, Guilty Gear and Street Fighter and all
mm-hmm.
those. I just can't do it. I'm just not good enough, and I'm way too competitive to play a game that I'm not very good at.
That's fair. To be
Uh,
fair, I didn't really get into fighting games until Strive came out a couple years ago. I dabbled in Street Fighter, like I said, the old Marvel's Capcom games, but Christian really got me into it. Once you have a friend who can just spar with, essentially,
Mm,
it gets a lot better because the competitiveness is still there for sure. We're talking shit to each other the entire time, but
yeah,
it's you play the same person with the same character over and over again. You're gonna start finding openings. You're just gonna start having fun, just playing through that. It's a great time if you have a friend to play with.
yeah. In place of that, I almost put Injustice because I did play a good amount of Injustice.
As did I. I'm a Mortal Kombat fan.
However, uh, I just really love the art style of Marvel versus Capcom a little bit more.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
that artist's name, I think it's Bingus or something. He recently did variant covers
I
all
got a
last
couple of
month.
them.
So did
Yep.
I. I got all of them
Did
actually.
you? Yeah.
And he's actually about to do another set of them, which is
I
cool.
saw. Yeah.
So, but anyway, so I'm going with that one.
And real quick, just so you know, that is the largest version of his artwork that you can own.
I believe it.
I mean, there's probably get posters out there from the old video
Mhm.
games, but like it's been told that like, yeah, if you want a good size, decent print of his artwork, like those comic book covers are the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. And very affordable compared to, some
Yes.
prints can be, $20.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I also had Arkham Asylum and City. I played a little bit of Night, but I did not complete it like I did those two. And I
Yeah.
thought those two were just so fucking good. I mean,
They're great.
everybody I knew that played video
Mm-hmm.
games at least
Was
played
playing
Arkham
those.
Asylum.
Yeah.
Um, Another Marvel one, I'm gonna group them together, but Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2.
Yep.
I played through both of those games probably 3 or 4 times each. I liked that number two played out the comic book Civil War.
That's the first time
Um,
I learned about Civil War was through that video game.
nice. Yeah, I just had so much fun with it. The voice acting was cool. The gameplay is just mindless and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the DLC characters were fucking awesome because it was all the, Moon Knight and some of the Marvel Knights characters that we love. Um,
It's like the perfection of those old X-Men Legends games. Like I
that's
love those
exactly
games
it.
back in the day, but like Ultimate Alliance was like the perfect version of those.
Right. I've got a friend who he still talks about X-Men Legends too.
It
Like
was
he
so much
just
fun.
yeah, just loves those
So much
games.
fun.
And then there's probably one that I can't think of that should be on this list, but the one that I'm including for nostalgia's sake, um, I played this all the time as a kid with a friend of mine back home, but it's the Sega Genesis version of Adventures of Batman and Robin.
Oh yeah, okay, I've seen that.
It was one of those you're both on the screen, like Streets of Rage style. You
Beat 'em
take out all
ups,
the enemies, and then it's like next
Double
screen.
Dragon,
Yeah,
Turtles. Yeah, they're beat 'em ups.
yeah.
Yep.
Just that was so cool because like I've always liked Robin more than
Mm-hmm.
Batman. So it was like, oh man, a whole game that I can play as Robin.
Oh
So
yeah,
I was just plus we all loved Batman the animated series, and it was just cool that the whole game was in that style.
yeah.
So it's a tough game. I recently tried
Most of those
to
back then.
play it again, and I was like, man, I was way better at this when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
but still super fun. So those are my picks. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. For the comment, let us know down below which comic book video games you liked playing. I know we've kind of touched on that before, and some of you have already commented, but fuck it, mention different ones that you didn't mention before.
If I find some out that I totally forget that I meant to mention or want to mention, I'll go down the comments.
There you go. There you go. So, all right. Well, Preston, I really appreciate you joining us
Yeah,
this week.
anytime.
Might have you back. I'm gonna say for Casey's sake, I hope that he is okay and
Yes,
can join
we're
us.
all thinking
But
about him for sure. 100%.
if
Get
not, we'll
better,
have
Casey.
yes, get better, please. If not, we'll have Preston back with us next week.
Yep.
And we'd love to stay in chat, but we gotta go kick Dracula's ass. So
Yeah.
we'll catch you next time.
What is a
See ya.
man?
Thank you for listening to the Two Worlds Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Two Worlds Pod,
on Twitter at 2_worlds_PC, and on Facebook at facebook.com/2worldspodcast. You can email us with any questions or comments at twoworldspodcast@gmail.com, and if you would, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Two Worlds Podcast on YouTube.